East Coast as New York neighbors to their historic move west, these two teams make up one of the best rivalries in all of sports. Even regular season games take on a playoff feel, such as the last two nights as they split the games here at Chavez Ravine. The rivalry continues in the final game of the series next. It is another warm, summer-like night here in Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium, for the Giants and the Dodgers. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with my crew. Welcome to San Francisco Giants baseball. And the Giants, after another dazzling performance by Madison Bumgarner last night, who yet again beat Clayton Kershaw, who otherwise is about unbeatable as far as the Giants are concerned. Now tonight it'll be Ryan Vogelsong for the Giants up against Zach Greinke, and he's another guy who has been unbeatable for the Giants.
Well, literally unbeatable. He is 5-0 lifetime against the Giants, and the Giants did not see him the last time that the Dodgers were up in San Francisco, so they will see him for the first time tonight. And in order for the Giants to win the series and win the road trip, they have to beat Greinke. Well, they're throwing out Ryan Vogelsong, who in his last outing against the Dodgers in San Francisco, 6 strong innings, allowed just 3 hits, so it figures to be all about pitching. And Vogelsong was so good when he faced the Dodgers last week, as you say. Let's see if he can do it again here in L.A. He might have one obstacle, which we'll keep an eye on. The umpires tonight has a reputation for a rather small strike zone. Well, Sean Barber is a strike zone that at times can be about as big as a cocktail napkin. Hopefully he loosens it up a bit. But both pitchers are very good, have very good control, so they should be able to adjust to whatever strike zone they get. The two things you need to look out for in the Dodger lineup if you're Ryan Vogelsong is Juan Uribe, who's hitting .409 lifetime against him, and Adrian Gonzalez, who's hitting .300 but with 3 doubles and 2 home runs. Those are the pitfalls. For Greinke, the two guys in the Giants lineup that he has had trouble with have been Buster Posey and Angel Pagan. Both guys are hitting .333, so those are good matchups to keep an eye on.
Posey, a great night last night. Pagan is hot in the early season. Giants, Dodgers, the finale. It's the rubber match. We'll be back. Driving crowd as they have to fight the traffic to get into this ballpark. The Giants and the Dodgers, the rubber match of the series.
All right, right now it's time for our Roundtable Key Ingredients of the Game, brought to you by the Italian Artisan Pizza from Roundtable. Available at participating restaurants, including online and mobile ordering. Only at Roundtable, the last honest pizza. Number 1, aggressive Vogelsong. It's important in this environment here on the road with this strike zone tonight. He's got to get in that strike zone early and define strike 1. Number 2, against Zach Greinke. In games he's pitched on against the Giants, they are 7-0. That's the Dodgers are 7-0. You have to jump on opportunity. He doesn't give you many. And number 3, you've got to be defensive for 9 innings. A clean defensive game is how you beat a good pitcher. And those are our Roundtable Key Ingredients.
The Giants and the Dodgers. Vogelsong for the Giants. Zach Greinke for the Dodgers. We'll be back with the lineups and then the ball game right after this. The Dodgers have taken the field, so let's take a look now at the Giants batting order presented by Audi, Truth in Engineering. It'll be Aoki leading off in left field, and he's hitting .306. Joe Panik at second base. Angel Pagan in center field hitting .478 in his last 5 games. Buster Posey the catcher. Big night for him last night. Brandon Belt first base. Justin Maxwell right field. Casey McGee third base. Brandon Crawford at short hitting 8th, and Ryan Vogelsong is on the mound.
On the hill tonight for the Dodgers will be the veteran right-hander Zach Greinke in his 11th year at the big league level. Greinke, 31 years of age, 6 feet tall, 195-pounder. This is what he has done in 4 starts. He's 3-0 with a 1.35 ERA. 21 base runners and 26 2/3. Gives you an idea of just how good this guy has been. And how does he do it? Well, Greinke will give you a fastball that's high 80s, low 80s, depending on how he's going to grip it. He really understands fastball movement. He'll cut it. He'll throw a slider at you, a curveball, slider, anything at any time. And it's also interesting to note that in the 7 starts that he has pitched against the Giants, the Dodgers have never lost. And he is a perfect 5-0 against San Francisco. Take a look at the defense playing behind Greinke tonight. Starting in the Dodgers outfield from left to right, it'll be Van Slyke, Peterson, and Ethier, the best arm in left field with Van Slyke. Rollins and Uribe on the left side of the infield. Kendrick and Gonzalez on the right side. And Yasmani Grandal, he'll be in the squad putting down the signs.
Aoki hitting .306 with a .392 on base percentage. And Zach Greinke is ready to go. And a called strike on the outside. And he threw that one rather softly at 87 miles an hour. The umpiring alignment: Sean Barber behind the plate with Quinn Wolcott, Eric Cooper, and Gary Cederstrom from first to third on the bases. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Sean Barber likes that low strike, and it's a pretty consistent strike zone. You just don't get big corners with it. It is a small zone.
Greinke off to an excellent start to his season. Off the outside, and it's 2-1. That one 86 miles an hour. He has a 1.35 ERA, and in 4 previous starts he's only allowed 4 runs. 26 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 16 hits allowed, just 1 home run. And that's a called strike. 2-2.
Greinke, a very compact motion and a very repeatable motion, which explains as to why he has such great command. Really never leaves the balanced position his whole time through his motion.
Deep in the hole. A long throw for Rollins. Too late. Aoki, much too much speed to be thrown out on that ball, and the Giants immediately have a man aboard.
And really, I mean, that's what he tries to do. He's got good speed. And watch his backswing. There's very little backswing, and he gets out of that box as good as anybody in the game. And a ball hit deep in the hole, he's just got too much speed. And I don't care how good your arm is from the shortstop position. You're just not going to get a chance. Once it gets past Uribe, the third baseman, no contest.
Joe Panik, .296 batting average, and a fastball at 91 for a called strike.
Greinke just quick pitch, Joe Panik. I mean, Greinke's the whole deal. I mean, he fields his position well. He holds runners on well. He's very quick out of the stretch. There's a lot of things to help him win.
Runner going, and that ball is foul. So Aoki will have to go back to first. It's 0-2 to Joe Panik. Panik 1 hit in 6 previous at bats versus Zach Greinke. Pagan is on deck. What a fabulous night it is here in Southern California. Once again, temperatures have been in the 80s ever since the Giants got to town. And that's off the outside.
Very desert-like. We just haven't seen the marine layer that we're so used to seeing come into Dodger Stadium about the 3rd or 4th inning, and that's when the air starts to get heavy, and that's when it gets tougher to hit a ball out of the ballpark. But this has been a live yard all 3 days, and it will remain that way tonight. Mount Wilson in the background, beautiful.
2-2 to Joe Panik. Big hole open on the right side, but Panik has not gotten anything really to pull. Everything has been away from Zach Greinke. Gonzalez on the bag at first with Aoki. Aoki, who leads the Giants with 6 steals so far this year. 4th in the league in that category. Billy Hamilton of the Reds leads the National League with 13 steals. D. Gordon, the former Dodger, 8 with Miami. Gregory Polanco with the Pirates has 7, and then Aoki with 6. 2-2 the count. Struck him out.
Just a change of grip is all it really is. He'll establish the speed in one type of movement with a 4-seam fastball, and then he throws a 2-seamer, and it just is enough to throw your speed off, get you off the back leg in a swing through pitch. You look at it, you think, that's a fat pitch. It's up around the belt. Not so. You're way out in front. You expect more fastball than what you get.
Here is Pagan. Pagan is hitting .357. He had 2 hits last night and is 3 for 8 in the 2 games of the series. Switch hitter, batting left-handed. Aoki back to the bag at first. Pagan is 7th in the National League in batting average. Although this time of year, it doesn't mean a whole lot. It just gives you an indication that he's done real well here in the early part of the season. Aoki started and then stopped. And the count 1 ball and no strikes to Pagan.
Talk about the command that Greinke has, and he's aggressive on the inside corner, more so to right-handed hitters than lefties. But he will definitely make you move your feet, and he's got a reputation for a guy who will buzz you up around the chin.
Pagan showed bunt, and that one was called a strike. One ball, 1 strike to Pagan, who has a look at third base coach Roberto Kelly. Pagan, who has done fairly well against Greinke in 15 career at bats. There's Gonzalez on the bag with Aoki. Not a real long lead for Nori. And that's right in there for a called strike 2.
Two-seamer coming back on that inside corner. Greinke's a dart thrower. He's got the ability to throw 93, 94 miles per hour if he maxed out on every throw. But with him, it's a matter of location, movement, taking your balance away in your at bat, giving you a lot of different looks. Still haven't thrown any breaking balls.
And he got a little extra on that one and struck him out. 2 down.
It's an add-on 4-seam fastball for the payout pitch. Right now it's time for our BMW Drive, the ultimate drive machine at BayAreaBMW.com. Last night Buster Posey stepped in. First pitch he saw in his second at bat against Clayton Kershaw, hit a home run, and that was to lead off the 4th inning. Second career home run off Kershaw in 63 at bats, and it was the difference in the game.
Buster drove in both of the Giants' runs. He had a first pitch RBI single in the 1st inning of that game, and then a first pitch home run, as we just saw. That was in the 4th inning. That was the end of their scoring. Up the middle, base hit. Buster's bat broke. Aoki keeps on going. Jock Peterson, good arm. Not in time, and the ball not held by Uribe anyway.
Yeah, it helps when you have a good jump and 2 outs like Aoki had. And he saw how far Peterson was going to have to come in to get that ball, and to him that was the green light. That's a call you don't look to your base coach for. You're just looking at the play in front of you. And once he makes a commitment, then it's 5th gear. Unfortunately, he has one. You can see the look from Peterson. You know, he doesn't have a really strong arm like a Yasiel Puig, but it's a quick release, and he's very accurate with it. And it's an arm that he'll get assists with.
Bay Area native from Palo Alto. So here's Brandon Belt. Buster Posey, another first pitch base hit. Two on, 2 out. Ball 1. Brandon Belt only has 2 hits and 11 career at bats against Greinke, as you see his numbers for the season. But one of his 2 hits is a home run, and he has not yet hit a home run this year against anybody. Jimmy Rollins, the shortstop, is way over toward the middle against him, and Gonzalez on the bag with Buster at first. And it's 2-0. So Belt is ahead of the count now. Crowd very, very quiet at Dodger Stadium. Justin Maxwell, a right-handed hitter, is on deck. So he hasn't done real well against Greinke, but he does, again, have a home run against him. Trying to put the Giants ahead here with Aoki at third, Posey at first. And he got the high strike on that one. 2-1.
There's not one Giant that has had that 2-seam fastball thrown to him that has been able to stay back on it.
That's going to go through. They were playing him to pull, and he crossed him up. Aoki in to score. Posey stops at second. 1-0 Giants.
I think that's a significant at bat. I mean, when you think about Belt, who'd really been struggling, got into Colorado and really started to put together a swing. Then they had the rain out on Sunday. He didn't start on Monday. And then last night he had to come in there and face Kershaw. So it was a rough 3 days. And here, his first at bat against Greinke, he has an RBI situation. Boom, 2-1 count, rifles it up the middle, and hits away from the defense, and the Giants are on the board. That's a big at bat for Belt because it will give him his confidence that he found in Colorado.
And there's a ball hit in the area of the second base position, and Howie Kendrick did not get to it. That may be a first between the Giants and Dodgers this year. There's ball one to Maxwell. Kendrick has been like a Gold Glover out there in these early games against the Giants. Justin Maxwell, he was riding a hot hand when the Giants got to town, and he hit a double in his first at bat in this series, but has been shut down ever since. He's 0 for his last 7. And a base hit could mean another run here. Posey at second, Belt the runner at first. Did he swing? And yes, he did, said Sean Barber. He made the call himself.
Well, if Greinke senses that you're going to go out of the strike zone on him, he's going to stay out of the strike zone. But he has definitely established a way in the first 2 pitches, and that opens up the hands with a fastball. If he wants to come inside right now, it's set up.
Giants have a run home, a 1-0 lead, 2 down, and 2 men on. Yasmani Grandal, the catcher, will run through the sides again here with Zach Greinke. Now, timeout granted again. Maxwell with 3 home runs, 9 runs driven in. And he's had a 911 OPS. Anything over 900 is exceptional. Now they're going to talk. Well, they should have done this 2 minutes ago.
Well, it would have saved time, no doubt.
Don Mattingly, and in the foreground, the pitching coach for the Dodgers, Rick Honeycutt.
Usually when you see a guy called out like that, it's not the pitch that they're confused with. They know what the pitch is, but it's the location. Greinke is a guy who's pretty easy to catch.
Pretty good rip at that fastball. Back to the screen. Strike 2.
You're Grandal, the catcher for the Dodgers tonight. I mean, you can expect a lot of what you're going to get from Greinke to be between the legs. You're not going to have to move around. If you set up an inside target, it's going to be there. Set up an outside target, it'll be there. He doesn't throw away from the target very often.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 on, 2 out. And he laid off. 2-2.
Pretty good pitch right there.
Casey McGee on deck. Maxwell, the 6th batter of the inning.
Greinke can nibble here. That base at third is available to him with 2 outs.
He just got a piece of it.
And that's that 2-seamer that everybody's been swinging through.
This will be the 25th pitch of the inning for Greinke. 2-2 the count. And he'll have to throw at least 1 more. And the runners will be able to take off on this next pitch with 2 down. A 3 ball, 2 strike count.
I wouldn't expect a whole lot more than what he just threw. Like I say, he's got that open base. He knows Maxwell's been hot. That was in the scout report. I know he's been hitting with men on base. He's been the RBI guy. If you have an open base with a hot hitter and you have a cold one on deck like McGee, you'll use that base. At least you won't give him much to hit.
So Greinke taking an extraordinary amount of time between pitches here.
Well, that's all by design. Guy who's having success in an RBI situation, he gets a little antsy in a situation like that. You take time, he'll go out of the zone.
There go the runners. Struck him out. All of the outs in the inning were on strikeouts. The Giants get a run. Vogelsong to the mound. Stadium in Chavez Ravine, just outside of downtown LA. The Dodgers batting order now brought to you by your Northern California Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Jock Peterson, the rookie, for the first time hitting leadoff center field. Jimmy Rollins moved out of the leadoff spot. He's been slumping badly. Shortstop. Howie Kendrick, second base. Adrian Gonzalez having a great first month, first base. Scott Van Slyke also, he's been hot when he's played left field. Andre Ethier is the right fielder. Yasmani Grandal hits seventh. The catcher, Juan Uribe, is at third base, and he has done some damage against Vogelsong in the past. Zach Greinke, the pitcher, batting ninth.
On the hill tonight for the Giants will be Ryan Vogelsong, the 6'4", 215-pound, 37-year-old. For Vogelsong in his ninth year at the big league level, this is what he has done so far in two starts. 0-1 with a 7.71 ERA. Doesn't tell you the whole story. His last outing against the Dodgers up in San Francisco, 6 strong innings, 3 hits allowed. He really got command of his stuff. The previous appearances he did not. When he's right, you'll see a fastball that'll go high 80s, low 90s. He'll give you a 4-seam, 2-seam movement. He'll give you a curveball, a cutter, slider, changeup. And again, normally his control is very, very good. Lifetime against the Dodgers, 4-4.
Right center field. Way back there. It is gone. And the first time that Jock Peterson hits leadoff, he hits a home run.
Got a breaking ball. Tried to wrap it around the outside corner. Laid it out there, middle of the plate, just above the thigh. And he was not fooled. And you can see the carry of this ballpark. That ball jumped.
Now Jimmy Rollins. Brandon Bell. Vogelsong over to cover. One away.
Let's take a look at the Giants defensively. Starting in their outfield from left to right, it'll be Aoki, Pagan, and Maxwell, the best arm in right field. Crawford and McGee on the left side of the infield, Panic and Belt on the right side. Buster Posey, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs. Giants defense has been very good this year. They rank 4th in the National League. They've made 12 errors as a team. The Dodgers have made 11.
Howie Kendrick hitting third. He and Adrian Gonzalez were flip-flop in the order today. Kendrick's been hitting cleanup, although he's not anybody's idea of a power hitter. Kendrick hit 7 home runs last year, but the Dodgers have had him in the cleanup spot. Now in the number 3 spot with Gonzalez, who seems like a lot more like a cleanup hitter, hitting cleanup. At the knees for a called strike.
Now, one thing about Kendrick is you're not going to see a lot of defenses overload one side of the field on him. He's a very balanced hitter. He'll hit the ball from foul line to foul line.
.297 average. He's got 3 homers, 14 driven in already. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Now, those last 2 pitches is really what you have to have from Vogelsong. He has to stay on those corners. He had a 1-0 little cutter. He went on the outside corner, got a strike 1, backed it up, came in to the inside corner with that last pitch and a 2-seam movement, running in towards the right-handed hitting Kendrick, and that's how he's going to beat this team.
Brandon Crawford took his time. Out number 2. Now Adrian Gonzalez to the plate. And that added to the drama last night. Gonzalez, who was not in the lineup against Madison Bumgarner. In fact, the 2 starts Bumgarner's made, Gonzalez was missing from both of them. But he came in last evening in the 9th inning with 2 down against Santiago Casilla as the pinch hitter. Casilla in relief of Bumgarner. And Casilla struck him out. That's off the left field line foul.
The thing about Gonzalez, I mean, you look at his swing, you would swear that it's long, but it is not. And the other thing about it is that he stays balanced. His body stays right between his legs when he's swinging. I mean, he never gets out front on his front foot, it seems. And he's always got big-time strength in his barrel head.
That bends him back high and tight. Gonzalez, 6 hits in 20 career at bats versus Vogelsong, including a couple of home runs, one of which he hit last week in San Francisco.
First time I thought he was a dead low ball hitter, but he's much more than that.
And it's 2-1. He hit this one in the 3rd inning last week in San Francisco.
Just a fastball on the outside part of the plate, and boom, takes on the deep part of the yard. Vogelsong a bit surprised that thing went out, but I mean, he gets backspin on the ball as good as any hitter in the National League. And that's where you get your carry.
That one is hit deep. Right center field, and he has done it again. 2nd home run of the inning. And the Dodgers lead 2-1.
Now, both breaking balls that Vogelsong have thrown tonight have been hit out of the ballpark. And that's just a hanger right over the middle of the plate above the knees. And for a guy who's been as hot as Gonzalez has been in April, that's just a mistake you can't make.
1 ball and no strikes to Van Slyke. So 2 homers in the inning. The Dodgers got 2 home runs against Vogelsong for their only runs last week in San Francisco. Bogey has allowed 6 home runs this year in 17 innings now. 2-0.
Watch the flight of the ball. Just majestic home runs, and that's kind of the way he hits them.
.3-0. The left-handed hitter, Andre Ethier, is on deck. Dodgers have been the home run hitting team in the National League so far this year. They now have hit 30 in their first 21 games. And that's a 4-pitch walk. Slyke has been a hot hitter. And it seemed that Vogelsong wanted nothing to do with him at all. And here is Andre Ethier. Ethier getting some extra playing time now with Yasiel Puig on the disabled list. And he's hitting .310.
He stepped right in and got hot.
He's hit 2 home runs in 42 at bats. Deep. Way back goes Pagan. That's a 3rd home run. 4-1 Dodgers.
That's going to bring out Dave Righetti, and he's going to try and bring some calm back into the mind of Ryan Vogelsong. There's not one guy in this Dodger lineup that does not have power, and on a night that is built for home runs because of how dry it is here in Los Angeles, every mistake that's going up in the air seems to be going out of here. Just a little two-seam fastball, just above the knees, out over the plate. And right now, home runs are contagious.
Gaspani Grandal, and it's 0-1. 3 left-handed hitters have gone deep in this inning. Another lefty, the switch hitter, Grandal, up there now. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jock Peterson, Andre Ethier, Gonzalez, they had their own sort of corner of the dugout. The home run corner of the LA dugout. One and 2 now to Grandal. Andre Ethier in 43 at bats now has more home runs than Yasiel Puig in his 43 at bats before he got hurt. And that curve in the dirt, he took it.
Batting practice today was entertaining. Both teams just putting on a show. You'd have thought they were hitting in a little league field. Balls were flying out of here, and I mean from line to line. That was not a 2-strike, take something off and go to right field swing. Grandal's trying to join the club down at the end of the dugout.
Four runs in for the Dodgers, still in the first inning. He went back up there again, and Grandal fouls it out of play. So a nightmarish inning for Ryan Vogelsong. He's not been able to keep the ball in the park. 3 of the first 6 hitters in the lineup have taken him deep. Strike 3 call. And cut back over the outside corner. But it's 4-1 Dodgers. Casey McGee, then Brandon Crawford coming up for the Giants.
Garage sales event now at your Honda dealer. Last night, Santiago Casilla got his 6th save of the year in a 2-1 ball game. Went right through the 4, 5, 6 spots of that Dodger lineup, and he ended it on a strikeout of Adrian Gonzalez, just to put a little exclamation point on it. The Giants preserved game 2 of this series, and that's your Honda save.
Zach Greinke now with a 3-run lead. There's Casilla out of the Giants bullpen beyond the right field fence with the other bullpenners. Called a strike on the outside. Casey McGee trying to get it going. 9 hits, 55 at bats, a 164 average. And the curveball, 2-1. Adrian Gonzalez, when he hit his home run in the first inning. You see the beautiful residue of the sunset reflected off the clouds over the San Gabriel Mountains. The count now 2-2. Adrian Gonzalez with his 8th home run of the year. He's back on top of the league in that category. And tied with Arizona's Paul Goldschmidt for the league lead in RBIs. Two and two the count to Casey McGee. And the fastball is fouled out of play. By the way, speaking of home runs, the former Dodger, Hanley Ramirez, now a Boston Red Sox left fielder. He hit his 10th home run of the year this evening.
Nelson Cruz hit his 10th today, too.
Wow. Cruz, who led the majors with 40 homers for Baltimore last year. Right to Kendrick. One away.
Well, Saturday, May 9th is Superheroes and Comics Night presented by Adobe. Don't miss the special Stan Lee VIP ticketed experience, which will include access to Triples Alley, Q&A featuring the genius behind Marvel, Stan Lee, complimentary food and beverage, a giant Superheroes t-shirt, and a Stan Lee bobblehead with sound chip. Reminder, to receive this VIP experience, you need to purchase the Stan Lee special event ticket. Go to sfgiants.com/special events.
Brandon Crawford. That ball going deep into left center field and over the head of Van Slyke. Here's his hurried throw. Crawford racing for second, in there with a double.
So Crawford taking advantage of the light air.
Pitcher, number 32, Ryan Vogelsong.
You know, we've had 3 days of carry in this ballpark, and I really don't remember a time where you've had 3 days in a row like we have seen here in this series. But hitters love it.
The Dodgers 3 home runs in the first inning tonight. They hit 2 home runs in the game here on Monday night, so they've hit 5 in the series. Buster Posey so far is the only Giant who's really taken advantage of it in terms of the long ball with his home run last night. 1 ball and no strikes. Vogelsong, 1 hit, 5 at bats for the year. Greinke just taking so much time, and finally Grandal's going to go out and talk to him again. By the way, we got word about 3 home runs allowed in an inning. I don't know that it'd be any consolation to Ryan Vogelsong to know that the last 2 Giant pitchers to give up 3 in an inning, pretty good pitchers. The last one, Matt Cain, and it was on this date 2 years ago today at Arizona in the last of the 4th inning. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. And the last Giants pitcher to allow 3 home runs in the first inning of a game, that was 5 years ago, and it was Madison Bumgarner against the Cincinnati Reds.
Wow.
It was Bumgarner's rookie year. 1-2.
I'd have bet money against that. Both those guys. That's a lot. Don't ask me if I did it. I don't know.
Crawford will hold. Jimmy Rollins plenty of time, and Vogelsong is out number 2.
I gave up 196 of them, so I don't know. Could have happened.
Well, you have to be you have to have a selective memory, right, to keep your confidence at a high level.
No. See, to me, that's selective amnesia. You forget about those things. And the only reason I know I have 196 is I'm reminded of it constantly by my kids.
So, if I were to ask you to remember some of them, you probably couldn't remember any of them.
Well, that's not really true either. I can remember every one of them, and I can tell you the pitch I threw, as a matter of fact.
Here is Aoki. Well, Crawford, nobody was anywhere near second base, so he said, well, I could get a really long lead here. Finally, Jimmy Rollins broke in behind him, and Greinke made a fake. Ball 1 to Aoki, who got an infield hit, and later in the first inning scored the Giants' run. Now a base hit could mean a run for the Giants. And they'd like to start chipping away at this Dodger lead right away here, because they are 3 runs down. We're in the second inning. In the dirt. 2-0.
No, I think this is a big at bat just because of what the Dodgers did at the bottom of the first, trying to answer that 4 spot they put up.
Dodger outfield rather shallow and pushed over toward the left field side. In there, a fastball for a strike.
I like that about Aoki. He's not in a hurry to have his at bat determined. I mean, he'll take pitches, not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. I mean, those are really prerequisites to being a good leadoff hitter. And he knows how big this at bat is.
Well, again, Greinke at times tonight looks like he doesn't even want to throw the ball. Crawford with a long lead from second. Jimmy Rollins over into the hole toward third, the shortstop. 3-1.
I mean, it's all by design. When you see a pitcher like Greinke, who's, he knows the game he's going to throw. He's going to call his own game. Grandal, the catcher, is simply going to suggest things, but Greinke's going to throw what he's going to throw. He's controlling the rhythm of the inning. It's to his advantage if he can pitch with all of his pitches, mix pitches up, so you really can't predict as a hitter what he's going to throw you. And by taking so much time, he makes you antsy, and you want to swing at his stuff.
And he walks Aoki, who just would not swing.
But he had an open base. I mean, this is good game management. Throw that thing below the strike zone pretty much the same way he struck out Justin Maxwell in a 3-2 count. He had an open base. If he walks him, he doesn't care. He's not worried about walking anybody if he does load the bases.
And Joe Panik has not yet shown that he's figured out Zach Greinke. He could not make contact the first time and struck out.
Yeah, that 2-seam fastball that Greinke was featuring with movement running away from Panik really was giving him fits.
Foul tip. Started him with a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Joe Panik had been a hot hitter, but he has not played that much here in the last few days. The Giants have seen so many left-handed pitchers. Right center field. Ethier on the run. Oh, what a play! And finally the call for the umpire when he came up still holding it. Andre Ethier may have taken at least a couple of runs away from the Giants with that play. Spectacular. And great MPG. Ford is the right choice for California. Madison Bumgarner last night, 8 innings, 5 hits allowed, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. And he had it going from start to finish. And even the 1 run he allowed probably should not have happened. A misjudged fly ball that was turned into a double led to the only run that he allowed. A great night for Bumgarner. 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, and his 2nd win of the year. And it was the 5th time that he had started a game against Clayton Kershaw. 5 times the 2 left-handers have gone head-to-head, and Bumgarner and the Giants have gotten the best of it 4 of those 5 times. Uribe now with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. So Ryan Vogelsong trying to regroup after getting touched up for 3 home runs in the 1st inning.
Well, that's all you can do. I mean, you can only control the pitch you're about to throw. Can't worry about what's on the board. You got to worry about keeping runs off now.
Into the crowd. That was right in on the hands. 1 ball, 2 strike. Well, Mike, we did do a check from your career, and you never allowed 3 home runs in the same inning.
Well, that's good.
Ever.
Well, that's good. You're going to tell me that I allowed like 4 or something now?
There was that one time.
Yeah, the 5 you had against San Diego.
I guess we could have said there was 3 there for a while until you allowed the 4th one in the 5th. No, never allowed as many as 3 home runs in the inning. You did allow 3 home runs in a game, but only 4 times.
That's a lot.
Including to the Dodgers one time when Say, Garvey, and Lopes all took you deep back in 1979. And you were still a baby. Brandon Crawford throws out Uribe.
And let's take a look at the play that ended it for the Giants in the top of the 2nd. An exceptional play from Andre Ethier. I mean, he used every bit of the web of his glove as he lays out. And you can see just how stretched out he was. And that makes you vulnerable to injury. A lot of guys land on the shoulder like that and separate it. I mean, that's just a great play. That was at least 2 runs.
Would have had 2 runs in, a runner at 2nd, at least at 2nd, and the inning still would have been going on. Pagan coming up next, who's been a hot hitter. Zach Greinke with a count of 0-1. Greinke, we know Bumgarner is an excellent hitting pitcher, and Greinke is also just one of the best hitting pitchers in the game. 1 ball and 1 strike to Greinke.
Good athlete. And he'll get a little greedy up there too. I mean, he's not up there just trying to punch singles. He'll let out some shaft.
His first year with the Dodgers, year before last, he hit .328 for the season. 1-2.
Yeah, get a little duct tape for that helmet. Keep it on.
Tim Lincecum. Tim Hudson on the right side of the screen alongside.
Lincecum was laughing as to how hard Greinke was swinging on that last pitch.
Casey McGee out number 2. Greinke, by the way, a .219 lifetime batting average. That's very good for a pitcher.
Oh, anything over 200 is fantastic.
But Bumgarner, I think, has him in terms of power. Bumgarner went 4 home runs last year, including 2 grand slams. Greinke 4 home runs in his career, and his career goes all the way back to 2004. So 2 down and Jock Peterson. Peterson started it off. First time Peterson's ever hit leadoff in the big leagues, and on the 2nd pitch he blasted a home run. Dodgers for a long time, back in the 70s into the 80s, would get some leadoff home runs because Davey Lopes was the leadoff man here for a long, long time. Davey Lopes was a great base stealer and just a great leadoff man all the way around, but he also had power. Davey Lopes, the Dodgers' first base coach. And there's a ball off the inside. Ball one to Jock Peterson. He's not a guy who's liable to swing at many pitches out of the strike zone either. Peterson. There's Davey Lopes.
He still looks like he can steal a base.
Just off the inside, 2-0 to Peterson. Peterson came into this game with a .458 on base percentage. And that was his history in the minor leagues. Always a guy who drew a lot of walks. And now it's 2-1. 2 down, nobody on here in the second. The Dodgers, after their 3 home runs in the first inning, have a 4-1 lead over the Giants. Three and one. Jimmy Rollins is out on deck. Jock Peterson in his rookie season now with a .309 batting average and 4 home runs already, and he's been hitting 7th or 8th until tonight. Strike 2 called. Most of the games where he started, he's hit in the 8th spot, just a handful of times in the 7th spot.
Well, I think they did that by design. I think they kind of hit him down in the bottom of the lineup just to kind of get his feet on the ground to start of the season. But he's not a prototypical 8th place hitter. He's up at the top of the order where he belongs with his speed and power combination.
Strike 3 called. It'll be Pagan, Posey, and Brandon Belt when we come back.
Graduating, check out the Giants graduation pack. It includes tickets to 2 games plus a commemorative Giants class of 2015 cap and SF tassel. Packs start as low as $45. Go to sfgiants.com/minipack.
And there's ball 1 outside to Pagan, who struck out his first time. Popped up. Jimmy Rollins. 1 away. Now, one thing the Giants have forced Greinke to do in the early going is throw a lot of pitches. He had thrown 44 pitches in the first 2 innings, but he gets a quick out here. Buster Posey will come up now.
So important to get pitches out of a great pitcher. Not an easy thing to do because they're going to be in the strike zone. They're not really going to beat themselves up with walks unless it is to game management.
Strike 1. high and foul and out of play as Gonzalez started over. And it's 0-2 to Buster Posey. Buster, who had a single to center his first time, now hitting .273 for the year. Ooh. That was a great pitch at the knees, and it came back to the plate.
That's two-seam fastball. I mean, out of the hand. Buster Posey identified that as being away off the strike zone outside, and then look at the movement coming right back in, wrapping around that outside corner. And that really gives you an idea of just how well he knows his movement and how he can throw darts with it. And that really is why he's so good.
Now the Dodgers go into the big overshift for Brandon Belt. Jimmy Rollins moves to the right side, and it's too high for ball one. Did he swing? No. Third base umpire Gary Cederstrom on the appeal said no swing. Belt knocked in the Giants' first run in the first inning with a 2-out RBI single. 4-1, the Giants are trailing. And the curveball, real sharp diving curveball, but it's too low. 2-0. Zach Greinke in his third season with the Dodgers, and he's had a lot of success here. Belt in the shallow center. Peterson, no. Belt's going to keep going. Van Slyke, who was going over to back up. Peterson had to reverse his field and go chase, and Belt gets the double uncontested.
Talk about how deep Peterson plays, and he took a step backwards, and still, with his closing speed, he almost was able to catch this just off the tip of the glove. A for effort. So a nice 2-out base hit from Belt, puts himself in scoring position for Maxwell.
Only the second extra base hit for Belt so far this year. He's had 49 official at bats. So here is Maxwell, who struck out his first time. Just off the outside, and Greinke wasn't so sure. Greinke's one-loss record as a Dodger here early in his third full season with him. He actually had the last couple of months of the 2012 season as well. 35-12 the last 3 seasons, and he was 6-2 that first partial season. So he has been a big winner for the Dodgers. 2-0. We got Casey McGee on deck.
Yeah, we talk about game management, and this is another one of those situations where he's got an open base and he's just going to throw to his target. When you have a confidence that you can throw strikes, you're not afraid to throw behind the count. You're not afraid to give up a base, especially to a hot hitter.
Belt at second, and that's out of play off the right field line.
That's the side of the plate that I'm impressed with Maxwell. I mean, there for a while early in spring, he would bar his swing, and he was very long, and they really got him short. And when that happened, as they quickened his swing up and they got him a little more balanced with his back shoulder, his ability to drive the outside pitch really improved, and he showed it with a home run opposite field in Denver.
Spiked that one, knocked down by Grandal. 3-1.
Just doesn't have to give him a pitch to hit.
Hensley Mullen said that Maxwell, with the approach that he's been using, he doesn't see any reason why he can't continue to have success. He said over the years he's had all kinds of different stances, different places where he set his hands, different kinds of approaches, different teams, different hitting instructors. 3-2.
Again, below the strike zone. I mean, you have to know the mindset of a hot hitter, which is what Maxwell is. I mean, he wants to knock this runner in score position in. He sees Belt out there. He wants to drive him in. He does not want it to get past him in the lineup. And he's expanding his zone, and Greinke's taking advantage of it.
3-2. Peterson will have room on this one to the deepest part of the yard. And the inning is over. 4-1 LA. The big hitters are coming up.
This break sales event is here. Visit buyatoyota.com for local deals. And last night, Joaquin Arias had 3 hits against Clayton Kershaw in a game, and all time these are the guys that have done it. There's only been 12, and 3 singles last night for Arias. He joins the club. Prestigious bunch of people, and that's our Toyota by the numbers.
Jimmy Rollins, the Bay Area native. He grounded out to first his first time. And he did say, although he approved the trade to the Dodgers, and he was excited about it because he thought they had such a good team, but he said that was always a team that, when he was in Philadelphia, that they didn't like because they always wanted to beat him. And he belts this one into right field. Maxwell back. It's gone. The 4th home run of the night for the Dodgers, and we're only in the 3rd inning.
Every guy in this Dodger lineup has that ability. You fall behind and you give them something fat to hit, they'll burn you. And Rollins just did.
4 home runs, all by left-handed hitters. As Howie Kendrick takes ball 1. Jimmy Rollins with his 2nd home run of the year. He hit 17 with the Phillies last year. Curveball, dribbled foul.
Dave Righetti making the phone call down to Mark Gardner in the Giants bullpen. Probably going to be Yusmeiro Petit who gets up and starts throwing. And indeed it is.
The moment you said that, he got up. Literally.
And willed that.
That is a fair ball into the left field corner. He plays the Karen. And they're teeing off on Vogelsong. First hit of the night for Kendrick, and Adrian Gonzalez, who launched a long one in the first, is coming up.
Take a look at the 1-0 fastball, belt high out over the middle of the plate. And to see Jimmy Rollins hit a home run, you really shouldn't be that surprised. I mean, he's always done that in his career. Rollins not a big guy. He's only 5'9", but he's always had power. Coming into this season, Rollins had 216 home runs, and now he's hit 2, so that's 218 in his career.
And that's a lot of home runs for a leadoff man.
It's going to put him in the Hall of Fame someday, I believe.
Well, the whole combination, because he's had the power, he's had excellent speed. Rollins is closing in on 500 stolen bases in his career. Now George Cantos is going to get up. We saw Petit get up for a moment, but now it's going to be Cantos.
Short, compact, powerful, and that was a cookie. And he knew it as soon as it left the bat.
Adrian Gonzalez with Kendrick at second. Right center field. Maxwell gets there. Kendrick tags up. Maxwell with a strong arm, but Kendrick makes it.
Number 33, Scott Van Slyke.
One away. Retires Gonzalez this time, but a productive out. Now the Giants are going to bring the infield in. They're already trailing 5-1.
A productive out and another bullet. He just has not been able to upset the timing of these Dodger hitters.
Yeah, Slyke walked his first time. The outfield is backed up very deep. The infield in shallow. The needs for a strike.
And of all the hitters in the Dodger team during batting practice that were hitting home runs left and right, the guy that was hitting the farthest is in the batter's box right now.
Maxwell, medium right field. Kendrick is coming. And he scores. 6-1 Dodgers. Sacrifice fly for Van Slyke. The Dodgers have been hitting all these home runs tonight. All of a sudden, after the double by Kendrick, they use a couple of outs to get a run home. It's inside baseball as Canto getting ready in a hurry in the Giants bullpen. Vogelsong due up third in the fourth inning for the Giants. Here's Andre Ethier now against Vogelsong. Changeup for a called strike. Vogelsong and Ethier. Ethier hit a home run his first time. He's got 2 homers and 20 career at bats against Vogie. Over the outside, strike 2.
Always been a real good hitter against right-handed pitching. Lifetime in the big leagues against right-handers, hitting .304.
One ball, 2 strikes now. During the spring, there were a lot of reports that the Dodgers were willing to trade Andre Ethier. That they were a little overloaded in the outfield, and the reports were getting very specific that they'd be willing to pay a significant part of his salary. But right now, they're glad to have him, and he's swung the bat well in this series. Check swing foul.
Well, you're right with the injuries to Yasiel Puig and the injury to Carl Crawford. And all of a sudden, Andre Ethier has become an everyday player again.
And Van Slyke also playing every day. Van Slyke, who's been a platoon guy with Carl Crawford. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a foul off the left field line.
You know, this really has been a trend here for like the last 3 years, but the injury bug around baseball is overwhelming, and it's taken down some of baseball's biggest stars.
Well, the Dodgers, just as a for instance, have 7 players on the disabled list right now.
And they're all good players.
And that is a foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hyun-Jin Ryu, their big left-handed starting pitcher. He's on the disabled list, and the word came out today that he's probably still a good month away from being back.
Kenley Jansen, their closer.
He actually is getting closer. It may not be much longer before Jansen gets back. He has no further setbacks. Did he swing at that one? An appeal? No. Cedarstrom spread the palms flat. 2-2.
Let's take a look at the side. Did he go? No.
Gary Cedarstrom, that was a correct call.
Hang a star on Gary.
2-2. And tight. And Ether's a guy who does have a tendency to kind of dive in toward the plate. That straightened him up.
Well, I mean, he's a middle-away guy. You have to jam him. That flat cut, there's Jansen, as you said, that flat cutter is where you want to throw it if you're going to go inside of the belt.
3-2. And a pop-up. Brandon Crawford breaks back. He's under it. And the inning is over, but the Dodgers get 2 more. They lead 6-1. Heading for the 4th, McGee, Crawford, and then Vogelsong's spot. Injury, the Kuvara Law Firm injury report. If you've been injured in an accident, call 1-800-4INJURY or go to 1-800-4injury.com. Dodger key players in the disabled list: Carl Crawford, a torn oblique muscle; Kenley Jansen, foot injury; Brandon McCarthy out for the year. He's going to have the Tommy John surgery, I think, tomorrow morning. Joel Peralta, who was the closer for a while, a shoulder injury. He's out. Yasiel Puig on the DL, although he should be back in action just as soon as he's eligible to come off. And Hyun-Jin Ryu, left-handed starter, and a good one, who is, as we heard today, about a month away from getting back. Casey McGee leads off for the Giants, lined out to second his first time. A check swing, ball 1.
Giants, Hunter Pence, Jake Peavy, Matt Cain. And Hunter Pence, we had some pretty good news about Hunter Pence. I mean, they're thinking it's going to be sooner than later now. And it won't be long before Hunter Pence starts taking batting practice. So he's had a real good upswing in his recovery from breaking his arm the first week of spring training. Matt Cain playing catch, all good signs.
1 ball, 2 strikes down to McGee. Brandon Crawford on deck. Well, Cain played catch yesterday. He was supposed to have played catch again today. He threw 25 times. They were just in the outfield. You guys had, I know, some video of him in last night's telecast. A flat ground game of catch, but about 60 feet. Off the outside with that fastball from Greinke. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I would think for Kane it would still be over a month before you would see him in a game. He has to do complete rehab to where he can build his arm up to where he can throw 80 to 100 pitches that you need to have if you're going to be a starter.
Right center field. Ethier on the run. He's not going to be able to catch this one. Heading for second is McGee, and he makes it there with a double. McGee's not moving very quickly these days. But that had to feel good for Casey.
Well, yeah, and I mean, early in the year when he was slumping, he was pulling off the ball. Now he's taking that outside pitch and he's got some backspin on it. He's driving it, and I think this one really fooled Andre Ethier because he cut this route short. You watch him swing wide down. I mean, he came directly across, and all of a sudden you realize that ball was going to get by him, and that's because that ball did have backspin and had carry. Nice at bat.
Brandon Crawford doubled his first time. Ball 1. The only thing in the Giants' favor right now, they trail 6-1, is that there's so much time left in this game. They have a lot of time to play catch up. They don't have to do it all at once. But at some point, they're going to have to keep the Dodgers from adding on, as Joaquin Arias has come out on deck with Vogelsong due up next. Vogelsong's night is apparently over. 6 runs allowed in 3 innings, including 4 home runs. Back to the screen on the high fastball. The Giants have had runners in scoring position in each of the first 4 innings, but they've only been able to get one of them home. 1 hit in 5 at bats as a team with runners in scoring position so far tonight. That's been an oft-repeated problem early in the season. He chased out of the strike zone there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's that good hard sinker. That really has been a good pitch for him. As you see George Cantos stretching out, doing the flying swan, toe axle flying sit spin axle, toe wingo. That's about all the skate knowledge I have, John. That's all I got.
Wow. Just a single axle, though, not a double axle.
Well, he was about to jump into a double axle. Flying sit spin toe wingo.
Well, he grew up in Chicago. He probably didn't skate as a kid. That's a pretty routine activity in Chicago if you're an athlete.
Blackhawks fan, you got to put on a pair of skates. And he loves all the Chicago teams.
In wintertime, you go play hockey, then you go to Stan Mikita's Donut Shop after. That ball is hammered deep right field and gone! A home run! Brandon Crawford just over the wall, and that's his 4th home run this year. And now it's 6-3 LA.
And right now in that Giants dugout, they're thinking, we got ourselves a ball game. And he just turned around a high pitch, and I don't know if Greinke wanted to go up there or it was just a flat-out mistake. Most of the at-bat was down around the knees. This thing goes up right across the letters, and he just tomahawks this thing. That's a bent arm swing. You don't think this guy's got a strong set of hands? Bent arm and just yanks it right out of here. Yeah, that's true. This is got carrying this ballpark tonight. Still, that's an impressive at bat.
Now Arias, the only Giant ever to have had 3 hits in the same game against Clayton Kershaw. And now 1 night later, he tries to get 1 against Zach Greinke.
He's 2 for 5 lifetime against him. He knows him. If the Giants could come back and win a ball game where they were down 5 runs to Zach Greinke, that would do wonders for their confidence offensively.
Brandon Crawford, who was a very reliable RBI man for the Giants last year, now has 11 RBIs this year and leads the club. at the moment. He also leads the club in home runs with 4. Zach Greinke, it's only the 4th inning, and he's about to throw his 72nd pitch of the night. Ended up breaking his bat. A big shard of the bat ended up just being shaved right off the barrel. A sort of a transverse break. And there are no Super Balls or anything inside, so it's a legal bat. One ball, 2 strikes. He's got a new piece of wood now. Joaquin Arias. 2-2.
A happy Giants family. Start him out young. The young man's got his headphones on, listening to our partners Dwayne Kuiper, Dave Fleming.
Three and 2 now. Maybe if you saw that graphic, you realize the Giants have equaled the most runs they've ever scored against Greinke as a Dodger. They did have a 4-run game against him when he was with Milwaukee in May of 2012. 3 and 2. Peterson on the run. Now makes a turn and a dive and a catch.
Well, in a night where we've seen lots of carry on fly balls, this one seemed to have hit a wall. But watch the redirect as Peterson was heading to the warning track. Now all of a sudden he swings back, takes a huge right turn, and they keep hitting this thing a whole lot harder than it was really meant to be. But nevertheless, a nice recovery.
Well, that one, the route he took, it made me take a quick look at the flags. But there's almost no wind blowing at all.
I think the outfielder's a little gun shy the way the ball's carrying tonight.
So now he's just expecting the ball in the air. It's going deep. Aoki takes a called strike with a curveball. Aoki's had a single, an infield hit, and a run scored. And he has walked. 6-3. The Giants are trailing, 1 out in the inning. Curveball at 69 miles an hour. Very slow curveball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Vogelsong's night is over.
Well, it's up to his offense now to pick him up. And 2 runs this inning is definitely going to jerk things up there in the Giants.
That ball is smoked down the right field line and just fouled.
Greinke's not really fooling a whole lot of people. I mean, he's 78 pitches into it, 1 out here in the 4th, and the Giants have had great balance in their at-bats against this guy. He's not a guy that's used to loud contact. I guarantee that's the conversation that Mattingly and Rick Honeycutt, pitching coach, are having. Who's going to be the first guy up? And how they're going to use the bullpen, because it's going to be a bullpen game tonight.
2-2 now. A lot of movement on that pitch, but way up out of the strike zone. Two and 2 the count. And the curve is off the outside.
Boy, and that was a hard take. And you think back as to how Greinke got the first strike in this at bat. He wrapped a little curveball around the outside corner. And he tried to do it again there. And that's a good take. Not an easy one.
Full count now. Joe Panik on deck. Right center field. And Ethier 2 down.
Well, is the secret to the Golden State Warriors winning streak as simple as catching some Z's? Tonight on NBC Bay Area News at 11, learn how the team is using sleep to power its playoff success and the techniques that can work for you too. The story tonight on NBC Bay Area News at 11. I'm going to check that out.
Tonight?
Yep.
Here is Joe Panic. That's a called strike at the knees.
Tonight at 11. Smile.
Oh, selfie time. A ball and a strike. Another slow curveball. Pitch number 82 for Greinke. Pitching here in the 4th inning.
83 pitches through 4, and that's a lot. Ideally, through 4, you want to have 60 or less.
2-1. Pagan would be next. Panic got robbed of a 2-run double or more by Andre Ethier, who made a diving catch back in the 2nd inning. Oh. Foul tip. He chased one out of the strike zone. 2-2. Curveball right to Gonzalez. Greinke covering, and that's the inning. But the Giants cut into that Dodger lead. A 2-run homer by Brandon Crawford. Now it's 6-3 LA. The Giants will be going to their bullpen. At McDonald's with the McD app. Download the McD app on your smartphone and get great deals at participating Greater Bay Area McDonald's. Visit McDapp.com. With Mike Krukow, I'm John Miller. We're at Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles. And the Giants are trailing the Dodgers, although not by as many runs as they had been just a half inning ago. It's now 6-3 LA. And George Cantos in for the bullpen to see if he can draw a line in the sand. The Dodgers have just been going nuts in the first 3 against Vogelsong. 6 runs, including 4 home runs already for LA. Grandal, the 7th place hitter, a switch hitter, leads off. He struck out looking his first time. And it's 0-1.
Right on top with 92-mile-an-hour fastball. That's about his average. He'll also cut the fastball, throw a changeup. He'll throw 2-seam fastballs and his strikeout slider.
Cantos has only allowed, in 13 2/3 innings pitched, 10 base runners in his first 10 appearances. And he's been a busy man. He's been one of the most worked relievers in the National League up till now.
Well, George Cantos might be the strongest guy down there in that Giants bullpen. I mean, he is put together, works out very hard. He's built for innings. He's built for 4 days a week coming out of that bullpen. And that's a strong load for a reliever.
This is the Giants' 22nd game. In the first 21, Cantos 13 2/3 innings, the most of any relief pitcher in the National League. Back to the screen. High cutter. The count is 2-2. Uribe on deck, and then Greinke due up third of the inning. And he threw him a changeup there, and Grandal manages to fight it off.
Well, you sit there, if you're the bullpen for the Giants, and you look at the success that Sergio Romo had, and you think about Romo when he first showed up at the big league level, he was a fastball slider guy. He learned the two-seam fastball, he learned the changeup, and you're seeing George Cantos apply the same two pitches, very effective against left-handed hitters.
3-2. Cantos pitched 2 innings here in the Monday night game. He had the night of rest last night and back in there again today. And the Giants are going to ask him, I'm sure, to go multiple innings unless they need to pinch hit for him to get something going in the 5th. Backdoor and called the ball. Cantos thought he had him.
It's a little cutter in the outside corner, and he's asking Sean Barber where that pitch was. I mean, it would have been a pitcher's strike, but you just don't see many wide strikes with Barber. You just don't get them. And I'm not saying his strike zone is bad. It's a consistent strike zone. It's been consistent tonight. It just doesn't have big corners.
Here is Uribe. He grounded out to short his first time. Grandal, the runner at first. Nobody out. Ball 1. The Giants as a staff have, coming into this game, pitched 69 innings out of the bullpen, and only one National League team has pitched more than that. And that's the Colorado Rockies. Extenuating circumstances, you could say, with the Rockies in their home games anyway. Popped up foul and out of play off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. The problem with that number is that the bullpen is going to have a tough time staying effective if they're having to carry an especially heavy load over and over and over again.
You're right. I mean, there's just such a fine balance between your starting staff getting enough innings pitched to give your relievers enough rest.
Ooh. 1-2.
I mean, that's the trick about being a good pitching coach. I mean, you've got to keep your guys sharp, but yet you can't overuse them. And you kind of anticipate you're going to get 6+ innings from your starter, and on those nights when your starter goes 3 or 2, I mean, it upsets the whole apple cart. And if you get 2 of those starts in a row, boy, you're in trouble. No pressure tonight on Righetti because there's an off day tomorrow. So, I mean, he can run a lot of guys out there.
Right center field, hit well. Still going. Maxwell, no. Pagan. And to third and holding is Grandal. He had to make sure that it was not caught. And Maxwell is still on the ground out there in right center. Guy's getting up, but he's hurting.
I wonder if he banged his left knee into the bottom of that fence. Remember, he did that in San Francisco, making a spectacular play. His knee went right into the wall below the pad on the right field side of AT&T. Yep, does the same thing. I don't think he hit it as hard as he hit it in San Francisco. He just tore his pants up, maybe got a little strawberry.
Giants bring the infield in. Not all the way in. It's short and second. Greinke, the hitter, second and third, nobody out. And that ball was right in the middle of the strike zone and up. And Greinke fouled it back out of play.
Take a look at the effort from Maxwell. Fell a little bit short, and then you sort of slide to protect yourself. Just no padding beneath, well, that last foot and a half between the ground and where the pad starts, and that's where you're exposed. I don't know why the pads don't go down to cover it all the way.
Right along the right field line. Maxwell. Whoa, he caught it. Heading home, Grandal, and he scores. What a catch by Maxwell, even though the run scores, and he did well to jump up and still make a play on Grandal.
Well, they might even appeal that at third base. What an effort from Maxwell. And we've seen him a number of times since he's taken over that right field position make this very play where he lays completely out parallel with the ground. I mean, that's a 6'4" guy with a long arm, and he's using every bit of his size to gather this up. Then very quickly gets to his feet and gets a throw off, and that's just great athleticism. And really, it wasn't that far off from the mark. But apparently, they thought that he did indeed tag properly, so there will be no appeal. But what a nice play.
What the Giants did, they were doing a lot of chit-chatting out of the mound. Posey went out, and Crawford came in with Contos to give Sean Dunston and Chad Chop down in the video room in the clubhouse time to take a look. Jock Peterson, he hit a home run against Contos in the game here Monday night, and he has a home run tonight already, hitting in the leadoff spot. And ball one. Run in, the Dodgers lead 7-3.
You know, one thing about Peterson last year, AAA level, hit 33 home runs, and he's got power. We saw it tonight. Fourth time he's left the yard for a home run. He thinks home run. You cannot convince me that he doesn't go up there and swing as hard as he does without the idea that he's going to try and knock it out of the ballpark. There's not a lot of finesse in his swing yet. And right now, it's pretty much search and destroy. But I mean, that happens to you when you hit 33. You think you're going to hit one every time you get in that batter's box. And what he'll learn as the league figures him out is to take a little swing off in certain counts, certain situations.
Greinke got a run batted in with the sacrifice fly and the diving catch by Maxwell. That's a called strike on the inside.
You know, and I think to a degree a home run could kind of stunt your growth as a hitter for average. We watched Adam Dunn come into the big leagues with Cincinnati, and we always knew he had power, but when we first saw him, he had a really nice opposite field approach. They told him to can that. They wanted him to go up there and yank every at bat, and it took a lot of his average away, trying to hit home runs in every pitch.
3-1.
Now, I don't know if they'll do that with Peterson because of his speed, but he's a guy that hit some medium ground ball to the left side of the infield. He can beat that out. So he's got more weapons offensively than just having the ability to hit a home run. And I think that's what he'll learn to develop up here.
3-1 to Jock Peterson. Uribe at second, one out. And it's a walk.
And not the end of the world. As you mentioned, he had a home run off of Contos earlier in this series. He had an open base right there, and he used it. Well, for comprehensive coverage of everything orange and black, check out pregame live and postgame live before and after every Giants telecast on Comcast Sportsnet, authentic Bay Area sports.
One out, a run in, two men on. Contos has walked two in the inning. Rollins homered his last time. Ball one. Looks like the Giants are going to get more action going in their bullpen now. Jimmy Rollins is grounded out to first and homered to right. And the cutter, high and tight, spins him out of there. 2-0. Javier Lopez in the bullpen. Adrian Gonzalez is in the hole right now. Howie Kendrick, the right-handed hitter, is on deck, and then Gonzalez after him. Here's Gonzalez.
Well, one thing, if you're George Cantos, you know how long you have, what your leash is like, because you see Javier Lopez up there, he's thinking about Adrian Gonzalez. So from Cantos' perspective, he's got to get Rollins and he's got to get Kendrick. That's his chance to get out of the inning. If it goes beyond them, he's out.
Yeah, 3-1. Jimmy Rollins, 4 times a Gold Glove winner, 3 times an All-Star. He was also a National League MVP, closing in on 2,400 hits in his career. To Brandon Belt, over to Crawford for 1, back to first. Cantos covering, and that's an inning-ending double play. And a beauty. From Belt to Crawford to Cantos. Pagan, Posey, and Belt coming up. In honor of Earth Day, PG&E wants to help you save energy, money, and the environment. Visit PGE.com and take the home energy checkup to see all the ways you can start saving today. PG&E, together building a better California. Giants down 7-3 as they come to bat here in the 5th inning. Trying to cut still further into the Dodger lead. Pagan leads off against Greinke, and a high curveball misses. Pagan has struck out and popped up to short. Posey on deck. Brandon Belt due up third. 3, 4, 5 spots in the Giants batting order. Greinke has been very busy. This will be his 88th pitch thrown already. Curveball in for a strike.
You might see him start to break in a few more breaking balls this time through the lineup. Really hasn't used a lot of them to this point in the game.
Jimmy Rollins. And he got it by a step. So one away. And now Buster Posey.
Buster Posey.
Buster hit a single to center his first time, and then was called out on strikes in the third. Giants got a run in the first, but the Dodgers got 4 in the first, hitting 3 home runs in the inning, and then they got 2 more in the third with another home run in the mix. 4 homers in the first 3 innings. The Giants got a 2-run homer from Crawford in the fourth to make it 6-3, but the Dodgers got 1 of those back in the last of the fourth. 7-3 LA. Jock Peterson led off the game with a home run. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Buster.
Slider away, 2-seamer down and in. Outside, inside, inside, outside. Mix it up.
One and two.
I mean, you really can't call that a full-on changeup, but the way the Giants are getting off their back leg and they're reaching for that pitch, I mean, they're swinging at it like it's 82 miles per hour. They're just not picking it up.
1 and 2 to Buster. And Greinke's got it. 2 down. Well, he's got a chance for a quick inning now as Belt will come up.
Number 9, Brandon Belt.
Couple of hits tonight. Average continues to climb. I was wondering how he's going to do tonight after he had the 2 days off, and then when he does play, he has to take his at-bat against Kershaw, where he has not had great success lifetime against him.
3 infielders move to the right of second for him. The overshift. Back to the screen. Strike 1.
I think one of the toughest teams to bunt against are the Dodgers when Greinke pitches. Wander Uribe at third base is exceptional at covering the bunt. Now, he's in no position to field it right now, but that doesn't mean that it's a given because of how well Greinke goes to the third base line, and he could field the bunt. But you know that Belt's thinking about it. You know, you're down 4 runs, you need base runners. Not a bad idea.
Justin Maxwell, who has power, on deck. Two and one. Belt had an RBI single in the first, and he hit a double in the third. There's Maxwell hoping to bat. And he chased. 2 and 2.
Just doesn't give India. And he can do that because he believes in his ability to command the baseball. He walks the guy who didn't care. Just doesn't give India. Just doesn't give into the fat part of the strike zone.
Oh, fastball, and he struck him out looking. 12-pitch inning for Greinke there. Kendrick, then Adrian Gonzalez coming up.
Ram gutsy play. Ram 1500 is Green Journal's 2015 Truck of the Year. Guts Glory Ram. Visit ramtrucks.com to learn more. And it's been all about Justin Maxwell. This is a play Monday he took away from Jimmy Rollins. This is with 2 outs and runners at second and third. And then tonight he did it again. I mean, the guy has just been putting on a defensive clinic. Lincecum was the benefactor on Monday. Right there welcoming Maxwell back into the dugout. I'd love to see a pitcher do that. That's a Ram gutsy play.
George Contos with the power up for the Dodgers. Kendrick, first ball swinging, lost one very high in the air to right. Maxwell, one away. Well, you showed a great one that he made Monday night. He made an outstanding catch tonight as well.
Well, runners at second and third, similar situation. And it's Greinke, the hitter, just kind of pokes one down the right field line. He has to come a long way, lays out, and gobbles her up. And I think that's a play that he enjoys. Not afraid to get dirty.
Well, he's got a lot of talent as an outfielder. Covers a lot of ground. Excellent speed.
He's got new pants on. Remember, he blew his knee out last inning.
Ball one to Adrian Gonzalez, who hit a home run in the first and hit a fly ball to right center in the third.
Yep. New pants.
Two and 0. Maxwell, I met his wife Lauren and their 3 children, young children, and they're all from Maryland. He grew up in Bethesda, Maryland. Mom and Dad were dentists in the Navy. And his wife Lauren is from Frederick, Maryland. Marylanders. And yet, Maxwell grew up a Giants fan because of Willie Mays. His dad was a Willie Mays fan. Willie Mays of the Giants. 2-1 the count. That was a pretty tough pitch, and it's a solid base hit.
Well, I do believe he is a low ball hitter, and that is his strength. But you're right, that was not a hanger. This is a good hard slider down below the strike zone, and he just inside outs it to the opposite gap. And this is just a good hitter's swing of the bat. Great example of the low part of the strike zone. But, you know, we've seen him take balls right across the chest and do the same thing with it. He could just flat out hit.
So Gonzalez at first. And Van Slyke the hitter. He has walked and hit a sacrifice fly. Ball one. A lot of people think that Van Slyke has shown enough to play more than he has, and he's got a shot now, at least for a time, with the injuries to both Crawford and Yasiel Puig. Usually if a right-hander is the starting pitcher against the Dodgers, then Van Slyke is not in the lineup. Did he swing? Yes, he did. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think Van Slyke's got power. I mean, he showed good power numbers in minor leagues. Had 23 home runs in 2009. Then he had 20 in 2011, 18 in Albuquerque 2012. If you have the ability to hit 25 home runs at the big league level, I mean, you're a commodity.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. 1 out, runner at first. And the foul ball right past Lorenzo Bundy, the third base coach. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys like that are like 4th or 5th outfielders. And they kind of fall into a platoon situation just because that's how managers keep everybody sharp. They play the lefties against right-handed pitchers, and right-handed hitters against the left-handed pitchers. But if you ask Van Slyke, I mean, he'll tell you he thinks he can play every day. And every outfielder who's in that 4th or 5th role, they'll all tell you, just give me 500, 600 at bats. I'll put some numbers up for you.
And a fastball right out over the plate, fouled back to the screen.
The other thing too about Van Slyke, I mean, he's a pretty good outfielder. There was a time last year that they played him in center field.
Van Slyke hit .297 last year as a role player. 212 official at bats and 11 home runs. He had a .910 OPS. You see Puig on the DL looking from the dugout at the action. It's not hit very hard. Crawford the second one. Panic over to first. Double play. And Mattingly is alerting the umpires that he's going to have a look at the video. He's trying to get the attention of the umpires, and he has done so now. That's the new pace of play kind of rule. They don't want the managers going on the field and going all the way to first base and stalling for time.
Is he contesting that Panic did not stay in contact with the bag at second?
Well, I really don't know what he's contesting, but he immediately got the attention of the umpires. Now he's going to go out. And whether it was to play in first or second, I don't know. Let's take a look.
He's got to declare which base he's contesting. I don't think he could contest the pivot play. I think this is the one he feels that the Dodgers were slided on. I think if they replay that, they're going to see that the Giants beat the play and that the out was completed.
Right there, it looked like the runner at first was out, as the umpire called it. So Mattingly's waiting to hear from his video room. How much time does he get to? The Dodger runners are still on the field. Their base coaches are still on the field, and some of the Giants are still on the field.
They're going into their between inning entertainment scheme here. Was he in contact? Yeah, they will not contest that.
And that's not contestable anyway.
No, you can't do that at second base. So it's got to be the first base play. And looking at that, I don't think there's enough there to overturn the call.
So he's not looking at his dugout, and where they would be getting word from the video room. So I don't know what he's out there still. And I'm sure the video room saw what we just saw. That no, the runner Van Slyke is out at first. It's a double play.
Oh, this is exactly what they want to avoid. They're not even the umpires are not even huddling up, putting on the headset, taking a look at it, and listening to the folks back in New York. So I think now.
Okay. The umpires are in a huddle. And now the Dodger runners are leaving the field, and it looks like we're going to move to the 6th inning. Okay, let's just go ahead and keep playing the game then. How about that?
When do they start finding guys?
Friday. 7-3. The Dodgers lead the Giants. Maxwell, McGee, and Brandon Crawford coming up in the 6th.
That's unbelievable.
Giants baseball is brought to you in part by Toyota. Toyota's biggest brake sales event is on now with savings bigger than Sutro Tower. See the huge deals at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. There's ball one to Justin Maxwell. That was pitch number 99 thrown by Greinke. The Dodger bullpen is busy at the start of the inning. The left-hander Liberatore is warming up. That one is crunched into deep center field. On the run is Peterson, and he gets there on the warning track. Maxwell has twice hit deep fly balls to center that have been tracked down by Jock Peterson, and is 0 for 3 in the game. Well, we have no idea what Don Mattingly was out there so long for.
It was an abusive waste of time. It really was. And I think that's all going to change here the next couple of days. The month of April has basically been the month where teams have gotten warned. And as you mentioned Friday, they're going to start finding teams if they don't pick the pace up.
Strike one to Casey McGee, who has lined out to second and doubled to right center. Players have been, and managers have been, receiving letters from the commissioner's office for different violations. Just to be forewarned. The count is 0-2 now to McGee. But it won't be letters now, or if they get a letter now starting Friday, it'll be telling them about the fine that will be assessed against them.
Yeah, they're not going to fine you during the game. It's going to come after the game when you get the letter. You know, it's interesting, the ball game today that was played in Baltimore between the White Sox and the Orioles was played in front of no fans. And there was a reason for that because of threat of some unrest in the city of Baltimore.
1-2 the count. And hits the foul ball.
The final score of that ball game was 8-2. Baltimore won that game over the White Sox. But what was interesting about that game was it took 2 hours and 3 minutes. Now, they said during the game they played the walk-up music. They did the take me out to the ball game. They had an anthem, the whole deal. They just didn't have any fans there, which in itself was kind of weird. But 2 hours and 3 minutes. And that's for a team that scored 8 runs.
And he blows the fastball right by him. 2 down. 2 of the best innings of the game for Greinke have been the last 2, the 5th inning, and so far here in the 6th. Liberatore, the left-hander, ready in the bullpen if needed, but so far no need. Greinke is on top of his game. Javier Lopez getting ready for the Giants. So we may see him in the last of the 6th inning. Andre Ethier scheduled to lead off, and then the switch hitter Grandal. 7-3, the Giants are trailing. Brandon Crawford hit a home run his last time up. So what was you think there was a cause and effect? The fact that there was no crowd there as to why the game was played so quickly?
I don't know. I didn't watch the game. I didn't get a chance to see it. I don't know why it would be 2 hours and 3 minutes. But that's almost, that's 50 minutes less than what the normal time is.
They did have a game, a Sunday night game, and it might have been a week and a half ago. I think the Cardinals were playing, Cardinals and Cubs maybe, and they had a 2 hour and 2 minute game, even with the longer commercial breaks for national TV. That was one of the shortest Sunday night games in history.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the pace of the starting pitching or pitching in general. I mean, it hasn't been a very quick pace tonight with Greinke. He's been very slow.
Very slow, and he's thrown a ton of pitches. That just now was number 109 for him as he walks Brandon Crawford. And now the Giants will send Andrew Susac up as a pinch hitter.
Hitting for the Giants, number 34, Andrew Susac.
And here comes Don Mattingly. So he only has the left-hander up in the bullpen. So he's going to apparently take out the right-hander and bring in the lefty, although he has not made a move yet. It is a high pitch count early in the season. And Greinke's had some arm issues back in spring training and early on this year. But apparently he convinced Mattingly that he's fine to continue. Now, unless Mattingly's hurt, I mean, he's not limping.
Well,
you could just trot out there to talk to him.
It would save time. That might be in the memo he gets with his first fine.
I mean, he walked so slow, it looked like he was stalling for time to get somebody ready. And the relief pitch has been throwing the whole inning. Anyway, here is Susac. Off the end of the bat, Jock Peterson in left center. And just like that, the inning is over. So it took only one pitch more, and likely Greinke's night is over. Ethier coming up, last of the sixth. Hospitals, redefining possible for children in the Bay Area and beyond. In the games in American League ballparks, the Yankees lost in 13 innings to the Rays. The Tigers pounded the Twins. It was Baltimore in the empty ballpark with an 8-2 win over the White Sox. Cleveland beating Kansas City 7-5 in Cleveland. The Red Sox 4-1 over the Blue Jays, and the former Dodger Hanley Ramirez hit his 10th home run in that game. The Mariners 5-2 over the Rangers. The Mariners, Nelson Cruz hit his 10th home run, and the Angels and Athletics are tied at 3, top 7 in Oakland. The Angels come to San Francisco starting Friday. Here it is 7-3 Dodgers. The Giants go to the bullpen for Javier Lopez, facing Andre Ethier here. Ethier has hit a 2-run homer and popped out to short. Off the inside. Giants have action going in their bullpen. We got the switch hitter Grandal up next. That's a foul ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. It is Machi, the right-hander, warming up in the Giants bullpen. George Kaktos went 2 innings, charged with a run and 2 hits. Kaktos pitched 4 innings in this series. So he's been a busy man. 2 innings Monday and 2 more innings here tonight. Here is McGee. 1 away. Games played at National League parks. On the scoreboard, Milwaukee 1-1, their 5th win of the year, 8-3 over the Reds in Cincinnati. The Astros are red hot The Astros are 14-7, and they've won 6 in a row, including a sweep in San Diego. The Nationals got 13 runs for the second night in a row in Atlanta, and the Marlins beat the Mets in Miami. Ichiro hit his first home run as a Marlin, and Giancarlo Stanton hit number 6. Grandal batting right-handed. He's a switch hitter, and it's 0-1. The Pirates beat the Cubs at Wrigley, the Cardinals over the Phillies, and the D-backs in the desert over the Rockies 9-1.
Yeah, 6 in a row by the Astros. That includes 3 in a row that they won against the A's up in Oakland.
Swept in Oakland and swept in San Diego.
And those are not easy places to get road sweeps.
A lot of young players on that team, and I don't know that anybody was thinking going into the season that they were ready to blossom into a pennant contender this year, but certainly looking for dramatic improvement. But they're off to a great start, and as you know better than anybody, Mike, young guys, they're 14-7. They say, well, why shouldn't we be 14-7? We're good.
Yeah, they're fearless, and obviously early season confidence a big factor in that attitude. And I think if you're the Astros, you want to see a young group get off to a good start, because then you don't know what they're going to do. Then there's the X factor the rest of the year. If you can maintain that confidence and add a couple of pieces along the way, you never know what they're going to do.
The little dribbler, Lopez, and he is an excellent defensive player. He made that look easy, and it was a tough play. 2 down. And Uribe coming up.
Let's watch the swing and bunt. Grandal's not the fastest guy in the world, but still, it's a play that it's not the normal result when you see a guy swing big like that. You're not thinking he's going to have a bunt come off of it. Nice play.
So with 2 down and nobody on, Lopez will face Uribe. Uribe has grounded a short and doubled. And the big curveball at 71 miles an hour, too low. 7 runs, 7 hits for the Dodgers, but 4 of their 7 hits have been home runs. 3 runs, 7 hits for the Giants, including a Brandon Crawford home run. Off the outside. 2-0. The Angels in San Francisco come Friday night. Chris Heston will go up against the veteran lefty C.J. Wilson. The Angels with Mike Trout, who we were told hit a 454-foot home run in Oakland tonight. Coming into the ball is Maxwell, and an excellent inning for Javier Lopez. We go to the 7th, top of the order. Aoki, Panic, and that man Pagan coming up. Giants are down 7-3.
7th through the 10th. And Saturday, May 9th, is a special 6:05 start, and the first 40,000 will receive a Hunter Pence fence catch bobblehead, courtesy of PG&E. And Mother's Day on Sunday, May 10th, first 20,000 fans will receive an Infinity World Champion scarf, courtesy of Dreyer's Ice Cream. So get your tickets at sfgiants.com/tickets.
New pitcher, Ed Liberator. It's spelled as if it would be Liberator, but he prefers to say it Liberator. And Aoki slashes one foul. Look out into the stands in a hurry. Aoki had an infield hit to lead off the game against Greinke and scored the first run of the game later in the inning. He also has walked, and he had a fly ball to right center his last time.
You see the numbers for Adam Liberator. He's only allowed one base runner in 5 1/3. He's been fantastic, and a lot of it has been against the Giants. The big guy, 6'3", 240, rookie, and he's got 4 things he can do with the ball, though we've only seen a fastball that's low to mid-90s and a hard slider. Say he's got a curveball and a changeup, but we haven't seen him.
Fastball has been working just fine against the Giants anyway. 0-2 pitch. There's a curveball right to Uribe.
Oh, not fooled at all. Little hang time on that 0-2 breaking ball, mistake location wise, and Aoki nailed it. Had a ball high, bang, short stroke, one little hop step over, and Uribe gobbles it up. Good at bat.
It's hard to not be pleased with the play of Aoki.
Oh, he's been great.
He looks like a guy who's just born to be a leadoff man too, and he's as likely to slash one along the left field line as he is along the right field line. And even when he hits a ground ball, he's a threat to beat it out.
Yeah, and he's got a great approach against lefties. He's got good speed, takes a lot of pitches, not afraid to hit with 2 strikes.
Joe Panic back out of play. He also has been getting some walks, and he's among the league leaders in walks. He came into in fact, he got his 12th walk of the year tonight. Aoki with a .392 on base average at the start of the game, and he's been on base 2 more times this evening in 4 plate appearances. And even the times he's been retired, he's hit the ball hard. Joe Panic looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 3. Fastball at 94, and he blew it right by him. Friday night, the Giants and the Angels. Heston and Wilson, 7:15, Orange Friday at AT&T Park. Saturday and Sunday day game, 105. Hudson and Santiago Saturday, and Lincecum versus Jared Weaver on Sunday. Along the left field line, and there is Van Slyke. 2 down. So now Pagan will come up with Posey coming out on deck. Pagan is 0 for 3. Struck out, popped out, and grounded out. Giants down 7-3 here in the 7th.
And they just have not figured out Liberator. That's 6 innings now that he has pitched at the big league level, and he's allowed 1 hit.
And that is really the conventional wisdom, was that the Dodger bullpen could be a real problem this year. But most of the early season, it's been a great pillar of strength for them. Guys like Liberator and a few other guys too. Guys who are fairly new, but throwing real well. Strike 1 to Pagan. Liberator was acquired from Tampa Bay in the offseason, along with Joel Peralta, for a couple of minor league relief pitchers. Liberator, now we should have known about him already from his college days as a pitcher. He was a star player at Tennessee Technological University.
I didn't know they had a baseball team.
And he was a star
Well, I believe it. I mean, he's got a good arm.
You know, TTU. But he had Tommy John surgery in his junior year at Tennessee Technological University. Tampa Bay did select him in the 21st round. Never got to the big leagues with the Rays, though. His early games this year, his first big league experience. He's making the most of it. 1-2 the count. Bends him back at 94 miles an hour.
That's a healthy fastball.
Hatcher, a right-hander, is up in the bullpen. With Posey on deck, I'm guessing that's why Hatcher is ready out there. Chuck Krim, the bullpen coach, right alongside. Oh, right there, outside corner, 95 miles an hour, and that's the inning. Posey left on deck. Last of the 7th, 7-3 LA.
And storage solutions designed to simplify IT. Reclaim your network with Barracuda.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. New pitcher for the Giants as we go to the last of the 7th. Gene Mancini comes in. Javier Lopez had a strong 6th inning. Mancini will be the 4th Giants pitcher of the night. Starting pitcher Ryan Vogelsong only lasted 3 innings. Mancini's also been busy. All these Giants relievers have been busy. This is his 11th appearance. Javier Lopez was in his 12th game. George Cactos was in his 11th here tonight. It really pitches in about half the games. That's a pretty heavy load. If you do it the whole season, especially.
Oh, indeed, we're out of bullpen. Got to get innings out of your starting staff. That's #1 prerequisite. That's your job as a starter. Give your team innings. Keep them in a game. Period.
Alex Guerrero, who's been sensational, the Cuban emigre, takes a called strike. Although not against Bumgarner last night. He was 0 for 4 in that game last night. Or he was 0 for 3 actually. And then lifted him for a pinch hitter in the 9th inning with Casilla in there. And he's hitting .440. 0-2. Guerrero, 11 hits, 25 at bats. But what about those hits? Of the 11 hits, 2 doubles and 5 home runs. He's only had 25 at bats, and he's been among the league leaders in home runs and RBIs. Oh, struck him out and made
hit that one.
Short work of him.
Well, last night, Massa Bumgarner cruising, and in this at bat, a 2-strike little slider that Guerrero thought he should have done a little more with. He 360s out of the batter's box, and Bumgarner had a few words with him. You don't want to tick off the big fella, and Guerrero, who doesn't have a whole lot of big league time, did.
I asked Bruce Bochy about that before the game, and he said, yeah, every once in a while, Bumgarner will holler at somebody. And he thought he was just trying to help the young guy have proper form in the big league.
Yeah, your hands dropped a little low on that swing. I think if you get them higher there, you'll have a better at bat.
In this case, maybe not proper hitting form. He's not trying to coach him. He's just trying to. What are you doing a dance at home plate after you hit a pop-up? Come on.
Well, there was no rebuttal from Guerrero as he ran past him in the middle of the infield. Of course, Bumgarner has a tendency to grow the closer you get to him. He's a big fella, 6'5", 235. And I think that's a conservative estimate to his weight. And he didn't have any fat on him. He's just thick and strong, country strong.
Jock Peterson has homered. He led off the game with a homer in the first inning for the Dodgers in his first game as a leadoff man. Center field, Pagan, 2 down. Sometimes you just hit it too hard.
Well, I think it's an example of the carry in this ballpark tonight. I think if you have the normal Marine layer that comes in here at night, the air gets heavy, I think that's probably a base hit. But you get the extra carry there, and it's a big league hang with them.
Well, we've had, considering it's still April, unusual temperatures. It was 86 degrees at game time last night, 83 degrees at game time tonight. Two down, nobody on. Here is Jimmy Rollins, and he homered back in the third inning. One of 4 home runs for the Dodgers against Vogelsong. 7-3, the Dodgers lead the Giants. Hatcher, the right-hander, is warming up in the LA bullpen, so he may come on for the 8th inning. Right center field. Pagan calling for it, and he's got it back near the warning track. That one traveled well. On to the 8th inning. Buster Posey, then Brandon Bell coming up. The Giants are trailing. is your home for the most live sports. Right-handed pitcher Tyler Beede, he was the Giants' top draft choice in the June free agent draft last year, and in 4 starts at San Jose so far this year. 1 win, 1 loss, and a 2.53 earned run average. 21 in the 3rd inning, 17 hits allowed, and only 6 walks. A 1.08 whip. That's the walks and hits per innings pitched allowed. That's pretty good. He's only 21 years old. He's a big guy, 6 feet 4 inches tall. He was the 14th overall pick in the June free agent draft last year. Now Buster Posey leads off. Chris Hatcher on to pitch for LA. Buster has singled, struck out, and hit a comebacker. He's 1 for 3. See Hatcher's numbers. He's a veteran. He was with Miami last year. Called a strike on the outside at 97 miles an hour. How does this guy throw 97 and his ERA is 8.59?
Yeah, but look at the strikeouts per innings pitched.
7 in the 3rd innings, 13 strikeouts.
I mean, the stuff is there. But, you know, hey, this time of year, you're a relief pitcher, you have 1 bad inning, you give up 4 runs. Guess what? Your ERA is going to be bloated. But he's got a quality arm. You saw 97.
But he's allowed 9 runs in 7 in the 3rd innings, 7 hits, 3 walks, and 2 hit batsmen. But all those strikeouts at the same time.
Plus, he can get you a ground ball.
Did he swing? An appeal? No, says the first base umpire, Quinn Wolcott.
Now, that's an 89-mile-an-hour slider. We saw him earlier in this series, so one at 93, and that's very Rob Nint-like. It's hard to even fathom a 93-mile-an-hour breaking ball. You kind of got used to it watching Rob Nint all those years, but he was completely unique. But Hatcher's got the same type of velocity at times with that slider. So he didn't lack for stuff. You can see why he has the strikeout totals.
Pitched 56 innings in Miami last year and had 60 strikeouts and only walked 12.
Dodgers have 3 guys that they can get a 90-plus slider with. Carlos Frias, we saw in this series, do it. Kenley Jansen is their closer, and at times you'll see him go 90-91 with a slider. That's just unique. You don't see it very often.
3-2 the count. In on the hands and a pop-up. Grandal out in front of the plate. And he makes the basket catch. He's staggering a little bit. But he got it. Posey is retired. Now Brandon Belt. Day off tomorrow for the Giants. And then the Angels interleague play, the first interleague interlude of the season. Will start on Friday. The Angels, who had a great season last year, they started slowly and they kind of reworked their bullpen. And in the last 4.5, 5 months, they were as good as it got in the American League. Ball 1 to Belt, who has singled home a run. He's also doubled and struck out. He's 2 for 3. So Mike Trout, we don't know if Albert Pujols will be available or not. He left the game tonight with an apparent hamstring injury in Oakland. Two 2-0 the count to Brandon Belt. They're not in the big overshift for Belt this time. The shortstop Rollins is almost up the middle though for him.
Well, that's progress if you're Brandon Belt. And last year they really would get into an exaggerated defensive set, play him strictly to pull to right field, and he had a lot of balls he hit hard that were taken away because of the shift, and it wore him out. He didn't handle it well. So the theme this spring training was, all right, learn to go the other way, and he did. So the shift is softening up. At least it's softening up in regards to the Dodgers.
2-2 to Belt. I remember last year in spring training, we really had not seen that many big overshifts for Bell. And Kansas City came in spring training, and they were shifting. They were putting 3 infielders to the right side of second against him in spring training. And then we saw in the regular season it was happening all the time around the National League. Bell fighting off the heat. He's seeing nothing but heat right now. 97 miles an hour there.
I believe the 2014 season was the year of the shift. We saw it all around baseball. Before, you saw it sort of built the last 3 or 4 years. Certain organizations would do it, the Braves especially, but now it's across the board. And I mean, you see the results of it. For the most part, it's successful. It's not going to go away anytime soon.
2-2, and he blows it right by him. Two down. Tune in to Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area Friday night at 6:30 for Giants pregame live before Game 1 of the Giants and Angels Interleague Series. We'll be back with you on NBC Bay Area and the Giants Television Network on Saturday, May the 9th at 6 o'clock for the Giants and the Marlins from AT&T Park. That's a week from Saturday. The 9th, Game 3 with the Marlins in town. The Angels for 3, the Padres for 3, and then the Marlins for 4 in this next homestand. Called a strike at the knees to Justin Maxwell. Chris Heston will be going on Friday, 7:15, Orange Friday at AT&T Park.
You going to put your orange on?
Orange, like a sport coat, or?
Well, something orange.
Wear my orange shoes?
That would work. He's got his orange on. He's got his orange on. She's got her orange on.
It's Orange Wednesday for these Giants fans in LA. 1-1 the count. Ooh, he broke off a nasty breaking ball there, and it's 1-2. Yusmeiro Petit warming up in the Giants bullpen. Jimmy Rollins off the glove of Gonzalez, and Maxwell is safe at first. So Gonzalez is going to tag him. Maxwell did something I think it's not wise to do. He didn't get called out for it, but when he stopped after overrunning, he turned to the left. When he overruns here, take a look. I don't think that's the right way to do it. It's best just to turn to the right, but he turned to the left.
I would have been surprised if they'd have called him that he had to lean towards second base there and run him up. But that's a play that's got to get made by Gonzalez. I mean, he's a good-handed first baseman. That's a rare error. That ball didn't hop. It wasn't a bad hop. That was just a little wide.
He just missed it.
Just missed it.
E3.
See, kids, it happens to big leaguers too.
And he's one of the best. Not many better than him. Casey McGee, strike one. McGee has lined out to second, doubled to right center, and struck out. The Angels, by the way, are playing in Oakland tonight, and they have a 6-3 lead over the Athletics. The last of the 8th inning coming up at the Coliseum. On 2. Oh, that looked like a change-up or a splitter.
Yeah, I think it was a change-up. I mean, that's the first time we've seen that from this guy. For the most part, it's been fastball and that nasty slider. Especially with right-handed hitters in the batter's box.
And he's been around a while. He's 30 years old. Chris Hatcher. Well, it worked well one time, so he came right back with it again, and it worked even better the next time. Last of the 8th now, Kendrick, and then Gonzalez coming up. as catching some Z's. Well, tonight on NBC Bay Area News at 11, learn how the team is using sleep to power its playoff success and the techniques that could work for you too. The story tonight on NBC Bay Area News at 11. The news has been bad for the Giants here at Dodger Stadium so far tonight. They are trailing 7-3. The Dodgers started the bad stuff for the Giants right away when they hit 3 first-inning home runs. Howie Kendrick, hitting third in the order, leads off against the new Giants pitcher, Yusmeiro Petit. And it's 0-1. Machi pitched a scoreless 7th inning after Javier Lopez pitched a scoreless 6th inning. Petit, he got roughed up here on Monday night. 3 runs in only an inning and a third. That's a called strike 2. He gave up a 3-run homer to Justin Turner in the 8th inning of that game. That's when the Dodgers broke that one open.
I think it's a big reason why he's pitching tonight. I mean, you don't want a guy to sit on a bad outing for 3 or 4 days. Get him back in there and get him some positive thoughts.
That's a strikeout, but now Posey's going to have to throw him out, and he does. 1 away.
He really has proved himself to be extremely valuable in that bullpen for the Giants because he can do everything for you. He can spot start, he can long relief, he can situational pitch, he can close for you if you needed him to do it. We saw him have one of the best relief appearances in Giants history when he threw 6 innings relief in the NLDS last year against Washington.
The 18-inning game, and he got the win in that game. After his 6th inning, Brandon Belt hit a home run in inning number 18. And now Gonzalez skies one, a soaring fly ball to right, but Maxwell hardly has to move. Out number 2. Gonzalez hit a home run back in the 1st inning. So did Jock Peterson leading off the inning, then Gonzo, and then Ethier also went deep. 3 of them in the 1st inning. And then Rollins hit one in the 3rd inning. 4 homers in the first 3 innings for the Dodgers tonight. The Giants got a 2-run homer from Brandon Crawford in the 4th inning, but they have not scored since. Giants have not had a hit since Crawford's 4th inning home run. Scott Van Slyke has walked, hit a sacrifice fly, and grounded into a double play, and the count is 0-1. Dodgers 7, Giants 3 here in the last of the 8th. 53,285 the paid crowd on a Wednesday night in April. That's out of play. Last night they had 50,000 and 150,000 for the 3 games altogether. 150,000 paid admissions in 3 nights here in LA for the Giants and the Dodgers. 2 down, nobody out. Petit with the 0-2 pitch. Just off the outside.
Good pitch. That's what he does. I mean, he's got outstanding command of what he throws. Slider, not a real big one, just a little quick one, some downward bite to it, but he can go to both sides of the plate with it, and he can shave with the fastball.
Left center field. 1 hop to the wall. Pagan plays the carom. A double for Van Slyke.
It did not take a long time to get out the wall, folks.
Fourth double of the year for Scott Van Slyke, his first hit of the night. And Andre Ethier will come up. Giants in the 9th inning. Crawford scheduled to lead off, then the pitcher's spot, and then Aoki will be due up 3rd. The Dodgers have Yimi Garcia, a young hard-throwing right-hander, warming up in their bullpen. There he is. Is he another one of those guys who can throw a 90-mile-an-hour slider? He's got a great arm too.
Yeah, he does. I mean, they got nothing but flames coming out of that Dodger bullpen.
Andre Ethier, he capped the 4-run first inning rally with a 2-run homer to right center. since then has popped up to short and grounded out to third. Change up, down and away, 2-0. The switch hitting Grandal is on deck. Ethier only 2 for 12 in his career against Petit. The Giants had the day off tomorrow, then they had the 10-game homestand and 10 games in 10 days. The second consecutive 10-game homestand for the Giants. And they didn't do all that well until the very end of the first homestand, when they swept the Dodgers. Pagan over toward right center. The inning is over. Crawford, then the pitcher's spot, and Aoki. Those are the due-ups. 7-3 Dodgers.
Central every night at 10:30 p.m. Comcast Sportsnet, authentic Bay Area sports.
Last chance for the Giants as we start the 9th inning. The Giants trailing the Dodgers 7-3. The Giants have not had a hit since Brandon Crawford's 2-run homer in the 4th inning, and he'll be leading it off here in the 9th against the new Dodger pitcher, number 63, Yimi Garcia.
Another quality arm. He doesn't have quite the high velocity slider, but you'll see mid-90s fastballs with sink and cut, big curveball, and a changeup. 18 strikeouts in 10 and 2/3 innings. I mean, that's a great ratio against just 3 walks. So he's got strikeout, swing and miss stuff, and he's got good command. That's what those stats tell you.
Crawford hit a double in the 2nd inning, a 2-run homer to right in the 4th inning, and then he walked in the 6th inning. .93 miles an hour for a called strike. Threw a changeup there, changeup for a splitter, and some good sinking action to it at 87 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that makes Garcia so special in the eyes of the Dodgers, is he's got high velocity and he's got big time movement. A guy that can get a ground ball and a strikeout is a rare commodity. And when you have over a strikeout an inning and you're a ground ball guy, that sets you apart from the herd.
That one was too high at 95. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the Dodgers, if they win this game, their record will go to 13-8. As we near the end of the month of April, this will be the Giants' final game in April, as well as for the Dodgers. Back to the screen. 1-2. The Dodgers will play Arizona here over the weekend while the Giants go home to play the Yankees. The Dodgers, I think, have to be pretty happy with the way things have gone this first month. If they win tonight, they'll be 13-8, and they have a 4-run lead in the 9th inning. And that's with a lot of injury problems. One away. Crawford down on strikes. And I believe that's the 10th strikeout by Dodger pitching. 10. I added it up. Now Gregor Blanco is the pinch hitter for Petit.
It's great when you have a mid-90s fastball and a 4-run lead. I mean, you could just sit there and blow country hard fastballs. You know you have a mistake or two. 4-run leads are magical when you want to add velocity.
Right to the second baseman. Kendrick, 2 down. So Blanco was not up there very long. And the last chance for the Giants is Aoki, who has an infield hit and a run scored. He's also walked, flied out, and lined out to third. Officially 1 for 3, but has been on base twice in 4 plate appearances. The Dodgers had the 8-3 win here Monday. Then Bumgarner turned it around, beat Kershaw last night 2-1, but it's 7-3 LA tonight. Out of play. And it's 0-1. So the Dodgers, a couple of big extra base hit extravaganzas in this series. And 6 home runs in the 3 games. 6 really just in the 2 games. They didn't hit one against Bumgarner last night. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike. And there was, I think, some concern about the moves the Dodgers made in the offseason, especially trading away Matt Kemp, as to how much offense they'd have left in that lineup. Well, so far it looks like they have plenty. Jock Peterson, the new center fielder, Jimmy Rollins, the new shortstop, and that hits. Did it hit him?
Close.
Almost. Aoki somehow avoided it. 2-1. Up is foul and out of play. Dodgers, with their 4 home runs tonight, have hit 32 home runs in this first month of the season in 21 games. That's a lot of home runs.
It is a lot of home runs.
Gonzalez leading the way with 8 of them and leading the league in that category. 2 down, 2-2 the count, and a foul.
Aoki putting on a fight. One thing guys hate to be is the last out of the game. They just don't like it. So you make it a one-on-one between you and the pitcher, even down by 4. Just
3-2.
He's putting on a good at bat.
Got it, and the ball game is over. Seven to 3, the Dodgers over the Giants. The Dodgers take the series 2 out of 3. Greinke beats the Giants again. And Vogelsong took the loss. 4 homers for the Dodgers. Crawford went deep for the Giants. And the road trip is over. The Giants will be heading home. I'm John Miller with Mike Krukow. Thanks for tuning in. And for those of you viewing on NBC Bay Area, we will be back with more. To the rest of you, we say good night from Southern California.